another video of Heavy Steel and Hot Rods. I'm Mosar BMs, the Ironworking Gearhead. And today, we're doing Construction Talk 002, guys. I invite everybody to go ahead and check out Heavy Steel and Hot Rods on YouTube. That is a construction blog, a channel that I do, a show that I have on YouTube. Do steel erection, ironworking, certified welding, and fabrication. I encourage everybody to go ahead and check it out. You can find us at YouTube at the Ironworker Gearhead. At Ironworker Gearhead. Find us at that right there. Today, I'm going to kind of go over the story on how I got started with my company, how I got started in this industry, and I guess the more people as we get going, we'll go ahead and answer any questions about ironworking in the comments. So go ahead and hit up the comments and let me know if you have any questions about ironworking. That way I can go ahead and answer those questions. Right now I'm actually on my way to go pick up one of my workers from his old apartment in Corpus Christi. We're relocating him out there to the valley where we're actually, our shop is at, and our office and all that good stuff where we work out of. So right now I got a couple guys there in Kingsville, Texas at Ricardo Elementary. They're actually working on an elementary school right now. They're welding some perimeter angle and actually getting everything ready and orientated for us. That way we can be ready when it comes down to put some decking. Today my plan hopefully is to throw this decking out there. So let's go ahead and get started with Construction Talk 002, guys. Today I want to talk about how I started off in the construction industry and how I actually got, talk about how I got into the construction industry and how I became an iron worker. So it all started off when I was 16 years old. I actually ended up dropping out of school. God damn it. I actually ended up dropping out of school. Just ended up holding my phone. So around 16 years old, I was getting into some trouble. Wasn't really going to school like I should have been. I ended up dropping out at a fairly early age. And then I started working for my pops. My dad was a maintenance manager at a mobile home park where the winter Texans come down and spend most of their time during the winter out there in the valley, South Texas. So I was working for my pops for a good while. Went and got my GED, and after about a year working there or so, a year and a half, I became a little tired of it, and I knew I wanted to go do something new. So I was actually going to be going to STVC, South Texas Vocational Technical Institute, which is it's a trade school. I was going to go there to become an electrician. Actually, when I went there, they were no longer offering the electrician certifications, the class for that anymore. So what they were offering was a combination welding course. I was really a little bit interested in welding because my dad had been an iron worker. He had been a rod buster for many years and worked underneath a general contractor for a very long time. So I had always been interested in construction and that type of things. But I knew I didn't want to be a rod buster. I was more interested in the structural connecting and the ironworking part of it, welding and things like that, bolting up. So at that point, I chose to go ahead and dive deeper into the combination welding, and I signed up for that course. It was a 10-month course out of STVT in Westerville, Texas. And I went ahead and did that. So that 10-month course was teaching you how to operate a torch. You learned stick welding, you learned MIG, flux, TIG, you learned how to pipe weld, learned everything. The one thing I will say about those courses is it's pretty much up to you. You got to get your time underneath the hood. Once you're out there doing a trade school or to go get your NCCER, the certificate I was getting for combination welding, I'd say when you put yourself in that position, just be ready to work. Be ready to make sure that you are self-motivating and that you are making sure that you're learning as much as possible. You're getting the time underneath the hood and you're learning the techniques. Because what's going on? Hey, how you doing, brother or sister? I don't know. How you doing? Hello. Good morning to you. Hope you're having a blessed day. And if you're going to be doing a trade school, I would highly encourage you to be self-motivated and make sure that you're holding yourself accountable and what you're going to get out of that trade school. Only because when you're there, a lot of times 30-40 guys inside that class, and there might be 1 or 2 instructors out there in the shop with you, and out of those 1 or 2, 3, maybe 4 instructors, if you're lucky, maybe 1 or 2 of them have actually been journeymen out there in the welding field. The other ones have just learned to really teach out of a book. And I'm not saying that that's bad. You know, you need a place for everybody that can articulate the things that are inside the book and really teach you. But a lot of the times, all right, I'm sorry about that, guys. I got my crew out there and they were calling me right now. I gotta answer that. What I was trying to say is it's up to you when you're doing these trade schools. A lot of them, they're going to be up to you. You will have guys that can articulate the fundamentals and the things that are inside of inside of a textbook, but you might have only one or two guys that have actually been out there and been journeymans of the trade and know how to weld pipe, know how to weld structural steel, know how to weld hard wire, which is MIG, and flux core, which is flux core, which is just a different type of wire welding. But it's up to you. You got to be very self-motivated. You got to hold yourself accountable, because at the end of the day, your success really doesn't fall on them. It falls on you. The fact if you're going to be a badass welder, a stellar welder, a killer welder, it's going to fall on you. You know what I mean? They can implement the things and articulate the things in those books, but it's going to be up to you to really grasp them and really push them and hold them dear to your heart, to learn them like the back of your hand. You know what I mean? Because if you don't, then you're going to be a subpar welder, and you're going out there looking for the most money when you're trying to get a job, and you're going to be getting, you know what I mean? Because I know how I felt. I had to go get a job. As soon as I got out of there, I maybe took 1 or 2 weeks once I graduated, and I was already moving away from the valley. I went to New Braunfels, Texas to go work for a company that was called Dade Superior. That was actually my first welding gig outside of welding for my pops. You know, they had like little things for me to do. My first welding job was welding Max A forms, which are the forms that they actually put together to make the highways. I was doing those, you know what I mean? So I was out there welding Max A forms at Dade Superior in New Braunfels, Texas, and I was making like $13-14 an hour doing MIG wire and flux core welding, you know, so which is all fabrication welding. Hello, good sir. Jesus loves you so much, even if you don't know it. He loves you. He died and had himself brutally beat so that you could be here today. I want to see you in heaven, brother. Jesus does too. Thank you so much, man. I believe in God. I do believe in God very, very much, and you know, that's why I always say stay blessed, stay grateful, stay safe. So I do believe in the Lord, and I believe that He guides us. I do believe we have free will, but I also believe in the Lord, that I feel that He's the ultimate creator, and He's the one that gives us these chances, the opportunities, where it's up to us to go ahead and seize the day and seize those opportunities and be ready at every point in time. That way, you know what I mean? That way we can go ahead and get what we need to get out of this life, and actually create a good and healthy environment and a beautiful space for ourselves. So yes, Jesus loves you too, and God bless you too, sir. I appreciate that, Real Vision. Back to what I was saying, my first job was actually a fabrication job out there in the Dade Superior at a welding shop in New Braunfels, Texas. So I ended up working there, and I met this guy. I forget his name right now. I'm trying to remember his name off the top of my head. I think his name was Keith, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong about that. But I met this dude. He was a white boy. He was a badass dude, man, solid guy. He was a shop welder. He wanted to be an iron worker, and he was the first one to really tell me about iron working. The first one to really put it in my head that I could be more than just a shop welder, you know, because when I went to welding school, it was when the pipeline was gayest shades ever, man. You're not rocking a iron, big doggy. You don't have to be worried about it that much. Appreciate you, man. You can go ahead and hop off the live if you ain't happy. I'm gonna have a good ass day. So I met that guy out there, and he was the one that first tell me about Henry and Sons Construction. They were actually building Schlitterbahns. So I actually jumped away from doing the fabrication, because they were only paying me like $13-14 an hour. And I appreciate you, Ace Wolf Peach. I appreciate you, man. Yes, I try to keep my mindset in a good place, you know what I mean, and not be a pessimist. You got to be an optimist, you know what I mean? You got to get what you can out of this life and make a good day for yourself. Life's going to be life, and all the time it's going to be hard enough. Don't make it harder, you know what I mean? Don't make it hard like that guy, gay as shade, you know what I mean? A pathetic person right there, not having a very good day. You gotta have a good, steady mindset and always be positive. And there's no reason that we should be malice and wishing ugly things on people or being negative towards people. Always spread good energy. That's the reason why I have a good life. That's the reason why I have so much in abundance, because I have a good mindset, and because God blesses me, because I look at the glass half full, never half empty, and I'm always trying to uplift people and make sure that everybody's having the best day of their life. But anybody can catch it too. I'm still a man, you know what I mean? Don't worry, I'm going to defend myself and my crew and my team to the fullest. So appreciate you. Got a beautiful mindset, and I appreciate you. God bless you, brother. But like I was saying, I met that person, and I actually went out there to go work. I went and did a welding test out there in Henry & Sons, and I passed it. It was a vertical uphill 70-18 welding test, and it was a horizontal 2G welding test, open root, both of those. So I actually went over there and I passed that, and they offered me $20 an hour. So I went from making $13-14 an hour. I don't remember my exact pay. It might have been 14. But it wasn't 15. I know it was less than 15 an hour, because I was already 20 years old, and I was making 15. I remember that, making less than 15. So I ended up going for a Henry & Sons and becoming just an iron worker. And while I was out there working with them as an iron worker, I was noticing that I really wasn't equipped all the way. I really wasn't where I should have been. These guys were journeymen. These guys were were skilled laborers. You know what I mean? And I was coming in just fresh out of school. Really, I maybe had 2 or 3 months, maybe 4 or 5 months at the most over there at Dayton Superior. So I really didn't have that much experience in the field, and the experience I did have was inside of a shop. So I knew that I had to start learning from these guys out there and really catching on. So I worked at Henry and Sons for maybe 6 months, and that building, that company, excuse me, where you actually go there and you're working in the shop, you're fabricating everything in their shop, and then they pick like a chosen few, the guys that are best out there, that did the best in their welding tests, that are iron workers, and they would pull them, and you'd actually go out there to the field to go build the Schlitterbahn. So we did that for a little while, for about 5-6 months, and then I heard about Local 66 Ironworkers Union. When I heard about them, it was real like a foreign thought to me. I didn't know what a union was. I'm from the RGV, where the Rio Grande Valle, South Texas, is literally the border of Mexico between the United States. So over there, we don't have unions. We don't have anything like that. I think if we do have a union, I believe it's an electrician's union or a plumber's union or something like that. But we don't have anything for welders, for pipe fitters, or anything like that. Not that I know of, at least. And especially back then when I was messing up and I was in the streets and stuff, I didn't know anything about these unions. So it was a foreign thought to me. It was a foreign entity. I didn't know what a union was. I didn't know how they operated. So I actually ended up trying to do a deeper dive and learn about them before I went over there. And once I went over there, they asked to see all my tools. They asked to see like my schooling and all that types of thing. All I had was a GED and an NCCER for combination welder. So they wanted me to go to an apprenticeship, and I was kind of not. I really wasn't for that, because I did not want to go to an apprenticeship program where I was going to be making $13 an hour, $14 an hour, what I was already making, and at the shop, prior to when I was over there at Henry and Sons, being an iron worker, a stick welder. And so I was kind of not really excited about that, but I knew I was going to be able to learn. So I actually walked away from the Local 66 at first, because I did not want to be an apprentice. I wanted to be a journeyman. Even though I was stubborn and I didn't know what journeymans knew, I wanted the journeyman pay. So I was kind of stubborn in that way, that I wasn't a journeyman. I did know more than most apprentices, because I have been working at Henry and Sons for so long, but I didn't know everything a journeyman should know, and it showed out there on the field when some inconsistencies that I would do. You know what I mean? And I'm being honest about it. I'm being transparent. There was some things like hooking up the acetylene and oxy. You know what I mean? One of them is reverse threaded, and I didn't know that, so I was made to look kind of like a clown when I was out there, because I was thinking I was acting like I was a journeyman, but I didn't know everything a journeyman should know. So at that point in time, I walked away from Local 66 and actually went back. I just went back to my job at Henry and Sons. I knew at least there I was learning to be an iron worker, and I was making $20 an hour. That's really what I wanted, to make as much money as I could. So I had bills and things of that nature, you know what I mean? And I was still fucking up, to be honest. I was still drinking on the weekends, and during the week I was having fun and doing things of that nature. So I was still messing up. So I didn't have the best mind frame on me just yet. So I walked away from that. And let me read this comment really, really quickly. Yo, man. Will welding degrees as an associate in science NDT open more doors, or you don't need to have a degree in order to land a good welding job? Okay, I'm gonna stop my story real quick just so I can answer Yo Man. Hello Yo Man, and I really appreciate you stopping by. My name is Jose RPMs. I'm working Gearhead, and I own this company called South Structural Steel, and I run this show called Heavy Steel and Hot Rods on YouTube. And I want to tell you that from what I know, is you don't need a degree to be a welder. A lot of companies, they'll pay to get you certified through the American Welding Society. Another thing that I learned is a lot of these degrees and a lot of these certificates that I was actually going to mention this later on. I was going to make this point a little bit later on, but I'll make it right now in my story, that the NCCER, the combination welding certificate that I got from that 10-month course I was speaking about from the trade school, it actually did me nothing. It actually literally meant zero in any interview I went to, in any welding test I went to. It was sad. It kind of sucked. It hurt me. It hurt my heart a little bit, because I spent 10 months out there practicing. But at the end of the day, you use every day as a stepping stone to where you got to get to. So at the end of the day, those 10 months, they weren't in vain, because I still learned. You know what I mean? I was still able to get the literature, and I was still able to get the time underneath my hood out there in the shop. Though I may not have used it to the best of my ability, because I was out there still fucking up a little bit, it was still time that was offered to me, and it did help me out nonetheless. But the actual certificate itself, it was kind of looked down on. It seemed like out here in the industry, in the welding industry, I have not worked a lot in refineries. I built the refineries, but I did not work in the refinery as a refinery hand, so I won't speak for that. I'm speaking more commercial welding and commercial ironworking and things of that nature. They want you to have a cert. Hello from Palestine. Oh, hello. How you doing, Palestine? That's crazy, man. Hello from South Texas, man. God bless you. Hopefully everything's doing good over there. Hopefully you're staying safe and staying grateful, man. I hope everything's doing good. The welding, it seemed like they wanted you to have an American Welding Society cert, an AWS cert. So when I went to the union, that's what they offer, AWS. You know, so I was blessed enough that once I joined the union, I was able to get those things that they offer them. But if you're not gonna get an American Welding Society certificate for welding, I would opt out on almost all those other things, unless you're gonna go for like a welding inspector, or else you're gonna go for maybe um like an engineer or an architect. Thank you for everything. God bless you and yours. I appreciate that, man. Thank you for stopping by. I really encourage everybody to go check out Heavy Steel and Hot Rods. We do construction vlogs, certified welding, fabrication, steel erection, ironworking. Go ahead and check us out. Encourage everybody to go ahead and subscribe. You know, share our videos. If you're already subscribed, hit the notification bell. We drop shorts, long content videos, and soon we're gonna be dropping some merch. I do subscriber giveaways. You know what I mean? That's our own money. It's free to enter. I do subscriber giveaways just to go ahead and try and help our industry. But what I was saying is those degrees, a lot of the times, they're not going to help you as much as you would think. You know what I mean? A lot of the things, it's best if you're actually going to go out there to go burn rod, go burn filler metal as for TIG welding, or go burn some wire, you know, fabrication welding. I would say you might not need that. Some people want to go to school just to get the literature, and that's more power to you. If you want to go to school, you want to go invest in yourself and invest your time and money into that, just so you can go ahead. Excuse me really quickly. Okay, I'm sorry about that, guys. I would say honestly that the best thing you could do is to just get welding, get time underneath the hood, and make sure that if you're going to go to school, you're going to invest that time, but understand that a certificate is not going to get you good job placement. A certificate is not going to get you highly paid. A certificate is not going to get you financial freedom. A certificate is not going to do any of those things. It's all up to you. So whether you go to a trade school and get an NCCER, whether you go to a college and get a different welding certificate, you know what I mean, and like this guy was saying, an associate's in science, NDT, things like that, I would say more power to you if you want to invest in yourself. And I'm actually proud that you would like to invest in yourself. I would just say, understand that at the end of the day, it's what you physically do out there in the field or in the office. It's your work and your consistency that's going to actually get you paid. That's going to actually make sure. Hi, how you doing, grumpy guys? I remember you. What's up, brother? You're one of my watchers, man. You're one of my viewers. What's up, brother? Hey, I like seeing that, man. I like seeing my subscribers out here. Thank you for your time being out here, grumpy guys. I appreciate you, brother. I would say that you know, just really understand that you need to put the time and effort in yourself and learn, and then that's how it's going to end up showing in the money and the good job placement and the financial freedom and things of that nature. You know what I mean? Let me read this comment right quick. Construction here is different. Buildings made from stone and steel, not wood. Welding here is in abundance. No degrees necessary. We work at a young age and learn. That's good. Over here in the United States, it tends to be now. When I was younger, we didn't need much of these certificates, but now, as soon as you step on a job site, you need a certificate to run a scissor lift, you need a certificate to be in the forklift, you need a certificate to weld, you need a certificate for every single thing. Out here, you need a certificate. So that's the difference out here. Not saying anybody's better, you know what I mean? If anything, I just know that that's the way it is here, and a lot of the times, just because you have a certificate doesn't mean that you know how to weld, and just because you don't have one doesn't mean that you don't know how to weld. I've seen some guys that don't have certificates that can do some hell of weldings, man. They can manipulate that puddle like I've never seen before. You know what I mean? I aspire to be like that. And then I've seen some guys that have a certificate, American Welding Society, NCCER, private ones from different entities that they work for, and they still can't throw a fucking weld to save their life. You know what I mean? Fucking peanuts and cacahuates everywhere. So it just happens to be, that's just the way the dice roll, man. It's all up to the person themselves, the welder themselves, to give it their all. Be self-motivated, hold yourself accountable to the best you can. Weld every single weld like it was your last. And honestly, I'm the type of guy that I don't look at welds to be pretty all the time. I look for them to do their job. Are they penetrating enough, and are they fusing the two metals together like they're supposed to? You know what I mean? Usually in welding, we have two different base metals and we have a filler metal that we're trying to fuse together. That is the objective. Not every weld is going to be the one that can win a competition. Not every weld is going to be quote unquote weld porn. You know what I mean? You want to have a weld that's going to work and be consistent and do its job. You know, obviously, if you can have a beautiful weld, by all means, throw a beautiful weld. It's only going to reflect your work even more. But you know what I mean? If it's going to be taking 3-4 times as long, you know what I mean? Get the damn thing done. Let's move on. Production's the name of the game, so we can get paid and get on with our lives. You know what I mean? Get on to the next job site. So yes, I would say as for certificates, look at yourself deep inside. If you want to invest yourself, more power to you. And if you don't want to, just make sure you're getting time underneath the hood to make sure that at the end of the day, when you're welding, that those welds are coming out quality welds. I'm gonna get back to my story now real quick. One thing before I do that, the one thing I took away from welding school, I know this is like a side note, but the one thing that I took away that I felt was the most important thing to me, and I've made a couple videos about this, and I've actually talked about it on many of my videos, is LASH. L-A-S-H. Length, angle, speed, and heat. So whenever you're going to go weld, you got your base metal, your filler metal. If you can know your length, which is your length from either your rod, your filler metal to your base metal, your length, you want to keep a nice consistent length. So if you're welding a 1/8 rod, you want to keep about a 1/8 space between your filler metal and your base metal. That length has to be consistent throughout the whole weld. When you do that, you can more than likely understand that you're going to have a nice weld. Next, you go into angle. You don't want your angle to be up and down, nor just like this. You want to have the perfect angle to where gravity is helping you feed this filler metal into the base metal. Thirdly would be speed. The speed in which you're moving and or you have your welding machine's wire set to. And then heat would be your amperage. You know what I mean? What are you burning this rod or this filler metal at? If you can think about L, the length, A, the angle, S, the speed, and the S, H, the heat, lash, length, angle, speed, and heat, more than likely you're going to throw a badass weld. You're going to throw a fucking flawless weld, because those are the four things that are very vital to throwing a weld. Your length, your angle, your speed, and your heat. If you're concentrating on all of those, you're comfortable, you got a good position, you're going to make a good penetrating weld that's going to infuse the metals together, and you should have not have nothing to worry about. That was the one major thing that I learned when I was out there in school. So I'm going to get back to my story now. Thank you. I really appreciate everybody hitting up these comments, you know what I mean, with these with their feedback and with their questions. Y'all go ahead. Whoever's watching, if y'all have questions, y'all go ahead and let me know in the comments. I'm going to try my best to get to them and be transparent and honest and give you guys a good answer. I mean, so I'm going to get back to my story now. I think I was at where I don't want to be a journeyman. So I actually opted out of Local 66, and I actually went back to work and just went back business as usual. And when I was working, I realized that it was kind of endless. You know, I wasn't going to be making killer money for the rest of my life, and there was no real growing there. And then Local 66 called me back, which is probably the best thing that could have happened, honestly, because I did need to get schooled up. I did need to learn. And maybe at that time I was young, I was hard-headed, I really wasn't admitting it to myself. But now I know it's the truth and I know what it is, and I needed to get more schooled up. And they called me back, and they actually told me that they would take me as a journeyman, which was something that was kind of unheard of at the time. They all wanted you to go to school and get your books and get certified and all that stuff. But they kind of made a deal with the guy there that I'd be a journeyman as long as I can go and show out on my first job site for the first week. If I could go do that, then he would agree to let me come work as a journeyman. But it was going to be up to the foreman, Bosworth, Jesse, to go ahead and dictate that, whether or not I was a journeyman, whether or not I knew enough to get paid as a journeyman. So I actually ended up going to work, and I worked my ass off, man. They were drilling me into the goddamn ground, you know, honestly. But it was worth it, because at the end of the day, I did get paid as a journeyman, and I learned on the job a lot. I took damn near every class that they offered at the union, and I was able to get my journeyman's card. I worked for the union for about 3 years or so, and then I was on the bench for a while. Stuff was getting kind of slow. They were moving me around a lot: Austin, Houston, Dallas, and then they were doing things out of state as well. So it was getting a little bit hectic for me. So at that point, I knew I needed a change, and I actually went to go work non-union work. So right now, guys, I'm going to stop Construction Talk 002 right here from where I left the union. We're going to go ahead and stop it right here. I'm going to pick up the next time on Construction Talk 003 on this story. You know, it's a long story how I got here. It took me from basically age 19 to age 26, 27 to where I started my own company. And I've had my company almost 5 years, 6 years now, and I'm 32. So it's a long story. It's not going to be done in one sitting. So I invite everybody back to Construction Talk 003. This is Construction Talk 002. I really appreciate everybody that hit up the comments. I'm going to be trying to make them a little bit more lengthy. Right now, I'm just doing it with the time available. I was driving in between job sites to come pick up one of my workers and get back over there. So I just want to make sure that I had some time to delegate to this little segment. So I appreciate everybody. Hopefully everybody stays blessed, stays grateful, stays safe. You know what I mean? Don't look back unless you counted yesterday's money. Every day we wake up is a day that we're blessed, and we got to make it worth it. You know what I mean? So just keep a good head on your shoulders. I appreciate everybody stopping by. I encourage everybody to go check out Heavy Steel and Hot Rods on YouTube. We do construction vlogs, ironworking, steel erection, certified welding, fabrication. Right now we're working in Ricardo's elementary school. We're building an elementary school out there in Kingsville, Texas. So I'm going to go ahead and close out this Construction Talk 002. I invite everybody to be out here at Construction Talk 003. I'll catch you on the next one. My name is Jose RPMs, the Ironworking Gearhead. Check out Heavy Steel and Hot Rods. Today I'll be dropping another video from what we're doing out there on the job site. So don't forget it, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.